Hello, my name is Dr. Carl Candlepun, and in this special episode of My Lost Podcast, I host a post-screening discussion of Season 1, Episode 12, Whatever the Case May Be. This discussion features first-time viewers, and as such, does not feature any spoilers beyond that point in the show. However, if you have not seen at least to this point in the series, I highly recommend you do so first before proceeding with this podcast. But without further ado, let's begin. Hello, today we are here to talk about Season 1, Episode 12, whatever the case may be. We're doing stuff, we're doing a little experiment with this one. We're going to pause it where the commercial breaks would have been and then let everybody kind of discuss it the way, back when people like me and Drew watched it 20 years ago, you had those commercial breaks to kind of react to things and talk about where you thought the episode was going or just whatever. We're going to try that out and we're going to record that and we're going to see how well that translates to the podcast. It might be confusing to know what all people have seen when they're saying certain things. And that may require me to edit in clips of the episode that people are responding to, and we'll see how much work that requires from me. But yeah, I think we're trying it with this one, and we'll probably try it with the next one too, because I probably won't have finished editing this one yet, so I won't have decided if it was worth it or not. And then yeah, if it turns out, if I like how it turns out, then that might be how we do it from now on. I did put a timer each time, 4 minutes. I gave us a maximum of 4 minutes to talk. That way we didn't run behind schedule. And again, it stayed true to the amount of time that you would have had 20 years ago. Hey guys, this is Editing Chris. So the best way that I could figure to do this, given that I imagine at least some people might be listening to the audio-only version of this, I figured I should just kind of briefly contextualize what just happened before the quote-unquote commercial break where the group is discussing what they've just seen. So in this first case, we just watched the teaser, the opening. It's about 5 minutes, and it's where Kate and Sawyer go swimming and discover the bodies at the bottom of the water.
Who goes swimming in jeans?
I was
Right.
Yeah, that's been remarked upon by other people, I think.
Well, but he's being a gentleman.
We did already see him go swimming and presumably nothing. So
Yeah. What did you say, Drew?
he was
No, that one. Sorry.
I was just saying, hey, I'll take off my shirt, but you take off your pants.
We didn't tell her to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No, but it's just
No, she seems surprised.
There's a weird distinction there.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you, because I know you don't like Sawyer. Like, did you care for that? I don't know.
No.
I thought it was cute and fun.
That's like you seem to be getting more on board with, if not Sawyer, their dynamic at least. I think.
I do like their dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, enemies to lovers is always like it's a vibe. I actually did always kind of assume that I would eventually like Sawyer, so it's fine.
Well, but are you there already?
Not to liking,
Yeah.
but he's cool. He's fine.
Okay.
So this next section of episode, referred to as Act 1, it ends with Kate making her first attempt to retrieve the case back from Sawyer, and there's that kind of flirtiness, at least on Sawyer's part, in that scene. The other relevant thing that we end up talking about is related to Shannon and Boone's interaction and how he's kind of mean to her, calling her useless. There's also, Saeed and Jack have their conversation about potentially figuring out what Russo's maps mean. And the last relevant thing that we discuss is in this first act, we get Kate's first flashback of the episode, which establishes her at the bank, and then the robbery begins to happen, and then that's where that ends.
Well, so it's Kate's episode.
Yeah, and obviously whoever it was in charge of this episode, whether it was the writer or the director, really liked Sawyer and Kate together, like a lot. Because this is like a huge leap forward for their couple-iness. They committed.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, we will lean all the way in immediately. We will give the people what they want.
You like Boone a lot. You liked the way that he talked to Shannon, though?
I mean, Shannon is what Shannon is.
Useless.
Well, I mean, I don't love that he called her useless. Like, I feel like it was harsh, but like, she also was being kind of a jerk about him trying to make things better. So I feel like it was legitimate for him to be frustrated.
I feel like useless was a very neutral way of putting it. She was more parasitic than anything.
It's funny when you were testing the audio of the episode you chose to use for the previously on Lost. I feel like there was a clue in there that's indicated where this is going.
Oh.
It was the radio. And like, oh, it's French. And she's like, oh, I speak French. And that's what Saeed's dealing with right now. He's like, oh, these maps are like, they're in French.
Well, so no, this is.
Oh, so she could be not
And like,
useless.
Exactly. It's
See, this is part of why I wanted to do this, because you guys can kind of guess at where the episode's going. Which, along those lines, we have 1 minute left. Any thoughts on what the flashbacks are going to reveal, or
I'm a little worried that Kate was in league with the robbers.
that would go against what you've been
Yes.
thinking, that she didn't do anything wrong?
Well, not necessarily, because you can be in like abusive relationships where that happens.
Sure.
So it's possible that it's still, but I hope that she was not
Okay.
bad.
the coffee table book of old theaters feels a little too random and specific.
Also, there was a lot of eye contact for a random banker, so it felt a little.
And then they even knew exactly where the cameras were.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, surely they would have cased it, regardless of whether or not she was
Right,
involved.
but-
Yeah.
I feel concerned that she might be in league with them.
And so our next commercial break comes right after, in the flashbacks, Jason takes Kate aside privately and reveals that him and Kate are in league, and they start making out.
That's disappointing. He wasn't even mean to her.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, all this time you've seemed to be expecting certain things.
I always expect the best from people.
You surprised, Brian?
Not at all. Not at all. She knew how to navigate too many things to be squeaky clean.
Are you surprised?
No.
So nobody thought that, like, I feel like this is maybe what they wanted you to think. Nobody fell for it, that like, oh, she was going to kill one of the robbers, and that's somehow...
No.
Okay.
Not even for a second.
I guess I'll ask at this point, any ideas what's in the case?
No?
Not
No
really.
idea.
I mean, the only thing I could really think of is the fact that she recognized the case in the water means either it's, and we know it's not hers, or she's lying and it is hers, or it was the Marshall guy.
Yeah.
Like, is it his case? But then what would be in there that, like,
Documents that says that she's a criminal.
I did think about that as the documents.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, given that she was a fugitive, she probably didn't have her own carry-on case. So yeah, I think what you're saying makes sense, that it probably belonged to Marshall.
So in this next section of episode, known as Act 3, Kate goes to Jack and tells him about the guns that are in the case, and asks where he buried the Marshall so that she can find the key. Jack, of course, then questions what else is in the case. Kate says nothing. This conversation happens in front of Sun, who neither of them speaks English. And I think the only other relevant thing that happens as far as what we end up talking about is that Shannon and Saeed are working together to try and translate Danielle's papers, and there's seems to be a bit of chemistry between them.
I like how your attitude is immediately shifted on Kate. He's like, so what else is in the case? Nothing. Uh-huh.
I have to say, Jack has really had her number today, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's like that. That's another like intense change from before. Is like Jack is like not tolerating any shit from Kate.
Well, I mean, keep in mind where it ended the last. There was a little bit of headbutting. And,
A little bit, but not like they've never been like he just is like had enough of her at this point.
I loved it when he said, do we have a problem or do you have a problem?
yeah.
Even that though, like that was way intense for like their history.
Well, I mean, in the last episode, he kind of bit her head off. I mean, he had other stuff going on, of course, but like, he's like, where did you learn the tracking skills from, Kate? Was that before or after you were on the run? And she's like, I'm trying to help.
Even that was kind of intense. Like I felt like that was.
Well, that's
like,
what I'm saying.
oh.
It's like this isn't the first episode.
I think he's just had enough of emotional manipulation and bullshit. So.
Well, I think he felt a genuine attraction to her, or chemistry with her, or just affection, whatever you want to call it, and he felt that was mutual. And he even looked past her being a fugitive for a while. But then, certain things, like her not moving to the caves and him wanting to understand why, and her shutting him out in that moment, like since then. And then I think, honestly, the stuff with Sawyer, too, I think maybe...
I mean, do we know that he knows about the stuff with Sawyer?
Yeah, because he said when Sawyer's like bleeding out right after the kiss, he said, "We already made out, Freckles. Like, what else I got to live for?" So presumably, yeah, he knows. Well, and then what Sawyer says, Jack's dressing his wound in the 9th episode. He's like, "Nobody, I'm here because nobody else wants anything to do with you." And Sawyer's like, "She does." He's like, "Change your own bandages." So yeah, I think he's aware that there's something there.
Fair.
You know what? I noticed Kate thinks that Jack is the only person that knows she's a fugitive, but Hurley knows, and Sun definitely heard that now.
Well, I was gonna bring up the sun thing. Yeah,
But also Hurley knows, and Hurley has
I don't
not
think
always
she-
the best at keeping secrets.
I don't think that she knows that Hurley knows though, because Hurley.
But she definitely doesn't.
Hurley was there when Jack found
Yeah.
the mugshot, but Jack's the only one that confronted her about it, so I don't think she knows that Hurley knows. But yeah, now Sun knows.
I thought it was the Saeed and Shannon talking about the best way to learn a language is to, like, whatever. And then they had Jack and Sun trying to communicate.
Oh, do you think something's gonna happen there?
I think they might be at least hinting at something there.
Huh.
But I'm also a fan of the Saeed and Shannon.
This is a
dynamic.
very
This is cute.
flirty
I'm
episode
liking
so
it.
far.
You liking the Saeed Shannon thing?
Yeah.
What is it you like about it? If you can put your finger on it. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I just do. I think they're cute. I like that he made her feel not useless, and that she's willing to help with him.
Yeah.
And they're working together. It's cute.
So what I found really amusing about that being the last thing Julia said before I pressed play was that the very first scene in the next act of the episode was Saeed and Shannon getting angry at each other and that whole thing falling apart. But yeah, from there, Jack gets the case from Sawyer by threatening to stop giving Sawyer the medicine for his arm. And then the final scene before this final commercial break is where Jack and Kate open the case and we find out what's in the envelope. And there's that really emotional scene where Jack demands an explanation for what's in the envelope. And Kate says, "It belonged to the man I loved. It belonged to the man I killed." And then, it goes to commercial break from there.
When we started watching these,
I don't know where this is going.
I expressed a concern about just parsing out little details of information to keep it going.
Uh-huh.
Oh boy.
So I mean, is that to say that you didn't care for that? Or did you still find it effective at what it was trying to do?
I mean, I guess I still don't, in my mind, fully understand what it is trying to do. Because, she has the keys to get into the safety deposit box to find the green envelope that has the airplane in it.
Uh-huh.
So was that what, And I'm just sitting here because, like, things just keep shifting. Is that what was actually in the green envelope?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, all right, so is she already on the run then during this bank heist? Because she's killed somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Or is this, yeah, because I thought, because in my mind, like, the bank robbery, something's going to happen that's going to put her on the run.
Right.
But is she already on the run? Because she's already using fake names and, like, using people. And so it's like, yeah, so timeline-wise, I don't fully grasp what it is yet.
I mean, I'll say I think your deductive reasoning there is spot on. I think it would make sense that she's already on the run by this point. Which, yeah.
I think she was born on the run.
Huh.
Born to run.
But I did enjoy how the last thing you said, I think, before we started playing that next part, was how you were enjoying the Shannon Saeed thing and the reasons you went into for that. And then I pressed play and it just immediately
Backfired.
No, but he felt bad.
What?
He felt bad.
Yeah, he did feel bad.
His whole face was like, oh, I messed up.
I don't know. He's always kind of got a sad face.
Jack. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Threatening Sawyer.
Oh, yeah.
That was intense.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. How long before Story gets shot now?
Now that Jack's got guns. Yeah. And so from here, we obviously finished the episode, which means the rest of this podcast episode will be our usual post-episode discussion of the episode in its entirety. So yeah, I really want to hear from you guys if you enjoyed this as viewers or listeners of the podcast. I enjoyed it at the time with these people, pausing it and kind of talking about it where the commercial breaks would have been. But I'm curious, what you guys think. Like was that worthwhile from a listener or viewer standpoint? We already have recorded our discussion for episode 13, and we did it the same way, but we have not yet done episode 14 because of the holidays. So if you guys really hated this, and you guys, want to let me know that, we can kind of just go back to the way we were doing things. So yeah, definitely would like to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on that. But without further ado, here's the rest of our episode discussion. I'm going to start with Drew down on this end, because I feel like I have a sense already. Overall opinion of the episode.
I mean, given where the last one ended, and that you had warned us, but it's like, we just kind of like, well, guess Claire's gone. She's dead.
Well, that's part of what, at the end when Charlie comes to Rose, and she's saying that her husband's still alive, and he's like, how do you know? But the way he asks that is like, I want to know that. Like, I want to know, I want to have that same certainty that you have. She's not there. They haven't found her. It's been 4 days, it sounds like. Question is, what happened to her? What is happening to her?
Because literally no one's looking for her.
Right. Yeah. Boone claims that him and Locke are, but we know better. I suppose it's possible that off screen. I mean, it certainly doesn't seem like anybody on screen is. Well, I mean,
because they were concerned with mostly the shoreline.
Well, which does make sense that there would be some urgency with that, but also technically, I would say the whole Saeed storyline is related to them trying to find Claire, because Jack comes to him saying, "I need you to take me to the French woman," so that because she says she knows there are the people in this island. He's looking for a lead in where to look for Claire. And in response to that, Saeed's saying no, her mind's gone. He's like, well, what about the papers that you took? He's like, they're all in French. And basically, the point is that him and Shannon trying to do that is in pursuit of trying to figure out where Claire is, if that helps. No. You think they should just be out there fanning out?
I feel like if they really cared, probably. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a Julia overall opinion on the episode.
That last segment was very emotional for a very short segment. It wasn't bad. I'm just processing From Jack and Kate's scene, and then that scene there was big feelings, a lot of big feelings.
Well, so I was kind of wondering. I was kind of, I don't know if concerned is the right word, but like I didn't know that you would.
Yeah, the Claire thing that's a little bit of a problem, but also I'm kind of used to it. Like every show does that. Like the first episode back is never actually the one where you get to find out about the cliffhanger, even if you want it to be. It never.
I would argue it wasn't even a cliffhanger. Like the one before that was a cliffhanger, like where they're confronted with Ethan and it's like what's going to happen there. But yeah, the other one I feel like it resolved it. The resolution was we lost the trail, and then the Charlie thing became the thing that we had to handle, and now we don't know where to look.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in my opinion, like that one it was resolved, just not in a necessarily satisfying way. Certainly not if you care.
I do think that Drew made a
Do
not. I think Drew made a good point that like at this point it would make sense to be more intensely looking for her, but I wasn't thinking about that through the episode, so it didn't bother me that much.
Okay.
I was thinking about all of the other things that were happening.
Well, and to go back to his point about the beach eroding and that taking a bit of a priority. There's that.
Yeah, I did think about it being kind of like almost weird to have like a flashback like right after what happened with Claire. Like, okay, maybe we could like focus, but it was okay. It's fine.
So that was your main complaint. Okay. Okay.
I mean, it wasn't even like a complaint. It was just like there was a moment where I was like, maybe we could have just talked about Claire, but like it wasn't like a complaint. It was just like mild.
You had hoped for progression on that plot thread.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I feel that 100%. Brian, overall opinion of the episode?
Oh, it was great. Some definite social structuring changes. The power dynamic is definitely going to change.
How so?
Well, there's guns now. There's guns and attitudes carrying them. So that's definitely gonna.
So you don't trust Jack to like?
Oh, I absolutely. I trust Jack to do what's he's going to be the sheriff of the island. I hope.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
He's gonna
he's
have
got the
one
best.
in
He's got the best
Moral compass.
moral compass out of all of them. He's less self-serving than anybody.
Yeah.
In the power dynamic right now. So
That's a very nice thing for you to say about Jack, considering last
After
week you were like, last week you were not a fan of him.
yeah, it's because of his back and forth bullshit. But now he's got guns, so it's going to change his attitude. Unless he turns out to be a pussy and get him taken from him, which I could totally see happening.
I could see Sawyer finding a way to get them something.
Yeah,
If he finds out about him.
like a good right hook. Deal's done.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, right now, Jack and Kate are the only ones that know about him, except for Sun, because she overheard, and they don't know she speaks English. They're the only ones that know about the guns. So, I mean, as long as he keeps it a secret, which I feel like he would think that it's in everybody's best interest to do so.
Yeah, I mean that would be a good ace to pocket. You know, so
Yeah. But you liked it.
yeah.
Okay. 'Cause I thought maybe you're being sarcastic, but you said.
One thing I do wonder is Charlie going to become a zealot now because he has that addictive personality? He needs something to focus on. Is he going to be?
Well, so you remember he was. Well, before I say what I have to say about that, I want to turn to you.
Yeah,
that was
that's
what I was,
exactly what I was going to say, is that he already has like the history of religion. So, yeah, it would be interesting to see if it'll be interesting to see whether he goes either like zealot mode, or we could just get like, it could be comforting for him because he's got that history already anyway and wanted to move towards it at one point.
Yeah, I think a way to look at it is she's kind of getting him to reconnect with that part of himself that he lost when his brother when his brother kind of made the band his identity. Now I feel like I have to avoid
that line
the word
was
loss.
really, really good when she said like there's this fine line between denial and faith.
Yeah. Did you catch when she said, you know what I think, Charlie? I think you need to ask for help. And then it cut to the grave marker, which is the cross.
Oh, I didn't catch
There are a lot of really good cuts, like people would ask for the key and then they'd be asking for the key in the flashback. Or, Sawyer was looking for the axe and then you saw that Boone had stolen the axe.
Yeah. Or when
for their special project.
Yeah. when Kate's going off with Jack to open the case, and then the flashback starts, you hear the audio first, and it's like, open the damn thing already. What I said at the beginning of the season when we started this, that I'm sure you guys don't remember, is that like the first episode of Lost I ever saw is the one that I think is probably the weakest of the season. And now you've seen it. That said, like watching it with you guys, like I didn't feel like it's awful. And I think I might have said that too. It's like compared to other shows at the time, like, I think it's still
I
pretty
think it's
solid.
a good episode of television. It's
Yeah.
that episode that to have it come right when it did.
Yeah.
After what happened last time.
Yeah, and keep
Yeah.
in mind that when this aired 20 years ago, they had the last episode, the one we watched last week. Then there was 4 weeks without any episode. Then this is what they came back to. Like I obviously wasn't like involved in the fan community at that point.
I would
Like,
assume as a casual audience goer at the time, if you wait a month to find out what happened to Claire and her baby,
And then you
the
don't
answer
find
is
out.
like, no, we're gonna focus on this briefcase for a while. Like I could see how people would kind of be a little pissed about that.
yeah, which I don't know if they were, because again, I wasn't involved in like fan discussions. But that was literally the first time I saw any of it. But again, just defending the show a little bit, like I do feel like the Claire thing was resolved in the last episode, as far as like, I mean,
The Claire thing with Charlie was.
what I'm saying is, like, obviously the show at some point needs to reveal
Like she,
why
like, okay, but
and
like
what
she
happens.
currently is still bleeding.
What?
Like as a woman, right now, 4 days later, she would still be bleeding.
Bleeding?
Yes.
What do you mean?
I mean, like for a solid week at least, you are still bleeding after giving birth.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if
no,
she's
no,
had the
no.
baby, she
I
would
understand.
still be bleeding right
I
now.
understand them. Is everybody here under the impression she was in labor?
Yes.
Are you under the impression she's in labor?
Well, I was under the impression either in labor or he was gonna make her.
Fair. The last part's
Yeah.
fair enough, but like,
But she was having contractions.
no, yeah, she thought she was, and that's why Charlie runs and tells Ethan to get Jack. But then he comes back and they continue talking about the psychic, and then she's like, oh yeah, no more are coming. And then Charlie's like, well, Jack did mention that stress could cause a false labor. And she's like, yeah. He's like, birthing emergency averted. And then they start walking back to the caves, and that's when they come upon Ethan. So she was not. in
Okay,
labor.
so
Kidnapping
but
emergency very much still in effect though.
But a different one.
she still could be going into labor at any point in time, which would
Sure,
actually
well,
make
she
it
would-
more important to be faster.
Their whole concern that episode was that she was going to go into early labor. She was still a few weeks out from being due. So the
Yeah,
fact.
but if she was already having like false labor and she was going through this stressful of a time,
Sure.
you would want to hurry, like really hurry to find her.
Oh yeah.
They're just
But again, sorry.
they're just gonna kidnap Jack next.
If only.
Come deliver this baby. Again, I don't. Again, defending
I will say
defending the
that
show.
I didn't actually think that the episode was weak. I thought it was really well done. Like I'm
Okay.
just agreeing with the fact that like it is kind of not great timing for the episode, but I think they did a great. I think it was a really good. I also wouldn't even call it weaker than the other episodes we've had, but I would say there's like a huge tonal shift.
Yeah.
And I could see that making people feel like it's not as good because people already are used to one tone, and that intense of a tonal shift. A lot of people just get annoyed about it. They don't notice
Yeah.
why
Yeah,
it's
this is
happening.
way,
They're just like,
later
this is
and softer.
different. Yeah. Was Shannon singing the song? That was cute. Also, Boone looked like super pissed about that, which.
Oh yeah, thank you. Because that was something I wanted to ask
If
about.
you have a relative that sings a lot and they just start doing it, it just becomes so annoying.
Like, out of context, I literally would have thought he was, like, about to kill her. Like, he looked so mad. I was just like,
How would you have defended that? Since you love him so much.
The irony of that is that you haven't seen Vampire Diaries and, like, how much sense that actually makes. Damon kills a lot of people.
I mean, but legitimately, like, thoughts on what's going through Boone's head at that point?
Well, that's what I mean, my first instinct was maybe he somehow, like, knew the kid or, like, knew that person she was talking about. And then I was like, that's dumb. I part of me thinks, like, maybe they didn't mean to make him look that pissed off. Like, it felt disproportionate unless there's some sort of history that we don't know,
Gotcha.
which is possible.
Sure.
I guess this show.
You guys feel the same way? You feel about it?
I didn't even think he looked pissed.
Okay.
I'm not great at reading people's faces. He just looked like he was having some emotional response.
Couldn't say what it was.
In emotion.
I thought
like the shadows on him.
he could have been thrilled. He could have been thrilled.
He's like, oh, that song again.
Fair enough. Drew?
Well, I thought it was interesting in this episode, because for the longest while, like, his sister's been his focus.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting now that he has a new kind of purpose with the whatever he and Locke are looking at on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
How he is a little bit more, not resentful, but aggressive towards her.
Sure.
So it's like, I guess I don't really know. Like, yeah, it was really weird him just kind of standing there and just glaring
Yeah.
as she sings, but it's like, they're showing us that for a reason, obviously, but we don't have any context to know why yet.
Maybe they're our next flashback, or they're our next episode.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But
How old is Shannon?
20?
I think she says in the.
Yeah, in the census episode, she said how old, and I think she said 20.
She's talking about being with a guy with a kid. It's like, what's the age difference we're working with here?
I mean, she's the type of girl that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then was the song Somewhere Beyond the Sea?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking it was.
Yep.
Listen, I recognize the melody a little bit, but
And it actually is at the end of Finding Nemo, which
we
came out
have
the year
enough-
before that.
Do we have enough time for like a really intense like leap?
Yes.
Maybe.
We have 7 minutes. Do
Okay.
it.
So first of all, what made me think of it is what you were saying about the song Somewhere Beyond the Sea, like if that was like somehow connected to why they were on the island. And then the crazy leap is that Kate had the thing was a plane. So I thought that was interesting. And I had a minute where I was like, Kate's a witch, and she was connected to the psychic, and they made the plane crash happen. And yeah, no, but like that's probably
Could still
too
be
extreme.
true.
But it's a plane, and that's interesting.
I feel like you triggered something.
I'm going to make another wild
It's all the
jump.
same.
It's
I
my
love
turn
it.
For a wild
I love it. Yeah, no.
And maybe this would be a spoiler, so your answer will either tell me one or the other. Have Boone and Shannon been honest about their relationship?
Oh.
I mean, I have the right to not answer that
Okay,
question.
that's I'm sitting here like, she would be the kind of person, like, is she actually like Boone's stepmom or something like that?
Oh, because
Oh
of
my
the
gosh,
older
and then
man-
he's
and-
the boy.
Yeah, or
I wondered
and
that
like,
for a
because I mean, she
second.
said some snot-nosed Brad, like did not really age, and
Oh.
so it's like, so it's like,
I mean, it is funny to think of Boone, because Finding Nemo would have been a year ago, basically, when this episode aired.
and like I
So
said,
it's funny to think of him like a year
Zombie,
younger
but-
and watching a movie like.
well, and there could be another kid.
Yeah, there could be another
if that were the situation. Okay.
That would be wild.
See, no, why that's part of why we're doing this, because that's what we did 20 years ago, was take wild guesses, and sometimes they'd be weirdly close to what was right or spot on, or even if they're completely off. Like that's the fun of it. That's the fun of watching it at this pace, is you have a chance to be wildly wrong before you find out what the answer is. Do you have any wild jumps that somebody else is doing?
No.
Fair enough.
That one knocked me completely sideways.
We'll do our typical thing. Start down here. Favorite, least favorite character?
I mean, I would say Saeed's probably my favorite right now, if only because we don't know what the fuck Locke's doing.
Yeah.
But when we probably find out, I'll probably like him best again.
Okay.
Least favorite? This episode, probably, if I had to pick, maybe Charlie.
Whoa.
Yeah. Why?
Just so mean.
Knowing how like he was kind of being like a surrogate spouse the past few episodes, like to just kind of be like, well, I'm just gonna sit here and mope, feels a little dishonest compared to how we've seen him in the past be very gung ho about things.
So really, you think Charlie specifically should have been like?
I figured he would be,
Yeah. Okay.
but it could just be me.
Yeah.
Especially since 4 days has passed, we said.
Yeah. I think it's important to emphasize that they do not have any idea where to even start. I mean, I kind of see what you're saying, that like it doesn't matter. He should be out there roaming.
Well, at least that seems like that'd be something his character would do.
Yeah. I mean, they did try to kill him though. So I mean, even if he found her or them wherever she's at, if like surely they would just kill him, right?
But now we have guns.
He doesn't know that. Okay, favorite, least favorite character.
I don't know what to answer because I'm mad at Kate.
Yeah, how
Yeah,
does
normally
everyone
Kate's
feel
your
about Kate after this episode? I was wondering when we were getting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like after Jack had his second episode, everyone liked Jack a lot worse, and I'm interested if the same thing happened here.
Well, she liked him better, but
I did like him better that episode.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily like him better this episode. I didn't really like how he handled this episode. And I didn't like Kate, so I'm having a hard time processing. Least favorite wouldn't be... Kate wouldn't get least favorite. Locke is always least favorite.
okay. So he
But
stays.
favorite, I don't know.
You don't know a favorite. Okay, fair enough. Has yours changed at all?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Favorite is Jack.
What?
Whoa!
Wow, that's a big
He
change.
finally found some balls.
That's awesome.
Least favorite?
Uh,
Kate.
Because
Yeah.
her using people.
Yeah, because who knows what out of her mouth is actual fact, is genuine in any way.
Okay, so let me ask you: do you believe the last thing she said in that interaction? Do you believe that was genuine?
Yeah.
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 The emotion of it, is that what convinced you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I'm over her.
Well, but does that not, on some level, to any extent, make you feel less harshly about why she didn't want to have anybody else be there for that vulnerable? It's like she wanted to keep that to herself, not for nefarious reasons, but for...
She could have explained it up to a point.
Sure,
To
yeah.
Jack. Jack is the one ally that she could have, no matter what, and he's shown that.
Yeah. I agree.
And she just spits in his face time after time. You know, just to have an ally would be good for her, but you know, she wants to deceive and play games. So she earned that spot this week for me.
Yeah, gotcha.
On the other hand, though, she did take out like 3 guys with guns in like 10 seconds, and it was super cool.
And she didn't kill any of them, so if that helps you at all.
A little bit.
All right, well, real quick, because I think they're telling us to get out. Whose episode do you think's next week?
Boone.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, Boone or Shannon.
Okay,
Shannon.
okay. The episode's called Hearts and Minds. I can't imagine that'll change anybody's opinion. Or maybe it will. I was surprised last week. Does that change anything?
It could be. It could be still Boone and Shannon.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's a vague enough
Well,
title.
Hearts, because if it went into the story of the French guy. Have we had a set of 2 yet?
Not
'Cause if
as
it were-
of yet.
If it were about Boone and Shannon, then it would be, or if it were about Boone, then Shannon would have to be involved. And if it were about Shannon,
Well, it's like,
Boone would have to
so
be
Sun had an episode, and Jen was obviously present in those flashbacks, but the flashbacks were all from her perspective.
involved. Oh yeah.
So in that way, so if that's what you mean, we've only had single person flashback episodes. But okay, we got to sign off. So we will be back next week for Hearts and Minds. I hope you all can join me next week, and I hope you all can join next week. I would now like to give a special thank you to the currently active donors. These include candidate number 90, Ben Ward, candidate number 108, Jeffrey Winslow, candidate number 69, Brian Phillips, candidate number 32, Chuck Boyd, and candidate number 341, Hans. If you too would like to become a candidate, you can do so for as little as $1. One-time or recurring donations can be set up on Ko-fi.com/candlepun or Patreon.com/candlepun. A donation of any amount will get you credited in this podcast and added to the candidate wall, which will be displayed in all video versions of the episodes of this podcast from that point forward, even once you're no longer donating. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the multiple people that have donated equipment and resources that are used in the production of this podcast. These include Mary Mullins, Brandon Huth, Charles Huth, William McMahon, and Charlene McMahon. Until next time, namaste and good luck. Shit, because I feel like there was something else I was going to get back to that somebody said. Because I got off on the Charlie thing.
I bet you did.
To like this video, click the thumbs up.
Or, if there has been an incursion by the hostiles, click the thumbs down. To leave feedback, enter a comment below. To be notified when more videos arrive, click the circle and then select the notification bell. To view previous content from this channel, click either of the two boxes.